Many men fathered bastards. Catelyn had grown up with that knowledge. It came as no surprise to her, in the first year of her marriage, to learn that Ned had fathered a child. A man has needs after all, and they had spent that year apart. Ned off at a war in the south, while she remained safe in her father's castle at Riverrun. Her thoughts were more of Robb, the infant at her breast, than of the husband she scarcely knew. He was welcome to whatever solace he might find between battles, and if his seat quickened, she expected he would see to the child's needs. He did more than that. The Starks were not like other men. Ned brought his bastard home with him and called him son for all the North to see. When the wars were over at last and Catelyn rode to Winterfell, Jon and his wet nurse had already taken up residence. That cut deep. Ned would not speak of the mother, not so much as a word. But a castle has no secrets, and Catelyn heard her maids repeating tales they heard from the lips of her husband's soldiers. They whispered of Sir Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning, deadliest of the 7 knights of Aerys Kingsguard, and of how their young lord had slain him in single combat. And they told how afterwards Ned had carried Sir Arthur's sword back to the beautiful young sister who awaited him in a castle called Starfall on the shores of the summer sea. The Lady Ashara Dayne, tall and fair, with haunting violet eyes. It had taken her a fortnight to marshal her courage, but finally in bed one night, Catelyn had asked her husband the truth of it, asked him to his face. That was the only time in all their years that Ned ever frightened her. Never ask me about Jon, he said, cold as ice. He is my blood, and that is all you need to know. Whoever Jon's mother had been, Ned must have loved her fiercely, for nothing Catelyn said would persuade him to send the boy away. It was the one thing she could never forgive him. She had come to love her husband with all her heart, but she had never found it in her to love Jon. She might have overlooked a dozen bastards for Ned's sake, so long as they were out of sight. Jon was never out of sight, and as he grew, he looked more like Ned than any of the true-born sons she bore him. He cannot stay, Catelyn told Ned, after he agreed to be Robert's hand. He is your son, not mine. I will not have him. It was hard, she knew, but no less the truth. Ned would do the boy no kindness by leaving him at Winterfell. The look Ned gave her was anguished. You know I cannot take him south. There will be no place for him at court. A boy with a bastard's name. You know what they will say of him. He will be shunned. Maester Lewin cut in. Another solution presents itself, my lord. Your brother Benjen came to me about Jon a few days ago. It seems the boy aspires to take the black. Ned looked shocked. He asked to join the Night's Watch? Catelyn said nothing, yet gladly she would have kissed the Maester. His was the perfect solution. Benjen Stark was a sworn brother. Jon would be a son to him, the child he would never have. And in time, the boy would take the oath as well. He would father no sons who might someday contest with Catelyn's own grandchildren for Winterfell. Even a bastard may rise high in the Night's Watch, Ned reflected. Still his voice was troubled. Jon is so young. If he asked this when he was a man grown, that would be one thing. But a boy of 14? A hard sacrifice, Maester Lewin agreed, yet these are hard times. Ned conceded. I will speak to Ben. When shall we tell Jon, the Maester asked. When I must. Preparations must be made. It will be a fortnight before we are ready to depart. I would sooner let Jon enjoy these last few days. Summer will end soon enough, and childhood as well. When the time comes, I will tell him myself. No one told Jon the Night's Watch was a midden heap for all the misfits of the realm. No one except Tyrion Lannister. Those are your new brothers, Tyrion said to Jon. How do you like them? Sullen peasants, debtors, poachers, rapers, thieves, and bastards like you. All wind up on the wall, watching for grumpkins and snarks and all the other monsters. The dwarf had given him the truth on the road north, but by then it was too late. Tyrion felt sorry for the boy. He had chosen a hard life, or perhaps a hard life had been chosen for him. Jon wondered if his father had known what the wall would be like. He must have, he thought. That only made it hurt worse. Thanks for watching this episode of The Throne Maester. Be sure to subscribe for more Throne videos in the future. And remember, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.